Well, we're back now. We did 2 top 10 lists yesterday. We did 2 the day before. We talked to Amy, Jimmy, Johnny, Mario, and a lot of people want to hear what James thought of the horses. And to be quite frank, I want to hear what James has to say about the horses also. Aside from clearly not being as smart as me and as good looking as me and completely unshaven today, mind you also. James does go with as many horses as I do. Maybe more, I guess, you factor in the time I missed. So he has a pretty good idea. Now, I found it very, very interesting how biased the top 10 lists were. Mine also, I guess, in retrospect. But a real good view of different horses. The horses James goes with all the time, I never go with. And Mario and Johnny and Amy and Jimmy. And it was interesting. There's a couple of horses that span all the top 10 lists. Mine, Johnny's, Amy's, James, or likely James's, Jimmy's. You're going to see some of those names, and that's the coolest thing I found, is that some of the horses they never go with end up on their list. So, for the last list of this week, and we'll do this from time to time, I think it is neat. I didn't know how we'll go over, but it's really cool. I mean, a lot of people interested in hearing from this doughhead. So I'm going to turn it over to James. We're going to talk about the top 10 list. Why? You got to have a synopsis too. Johnny wasn't sure of the meaning. I'm going to give it to you. A little with the name and then why you picked that horse. So, without further ado, we're going to talk to a Dum Dum.
Hi everybody, I'm here with my top 10 list. It's very competitive right now. I mean, there's a lot of horses, especially, I don't know, there's probably 20 that I could have pegged in the last few spots, and I just kind of went with my theory, my thoughts on them, and I guess I'll tell you why. So at 10, I got Almost There Boss. It's just hasn't really had a bad effort. Every time he trains, he's always coming on the outside. Brody's done a good job with him, and taught him well. And I've never, like I said, there's a bunch I've never sat behind, so it's hard to say for sure or without a doubt. But I mean, I'm going to stick him number 10. I think he's coming along nicely, and there's no reason why he can't keep improving. Number 9, this one might surprise a lot of people, and it was more like Anthony said, he just trained today. It was the first time I've gone with him in a while. Rose Above It. He was spectacular today. We put the hobbles on him the last few weeks and changed the shoes a little bit, and he's come leaps and bounds in the last few weeks.
So it's worth noting to everybody, when James talks about these equipment changes, some people out there expect them to be massive changes, where other people think they'll be incremental, and the truth is they're both. Sometimes one horse will change a lot, other times they won't. Now, some horses change for the worse also, so a lot of the times the equipment changes, the shoeing changes are based on previous years. Some horses have similar gaits in it, it'll trigger a memory, and you'll say, geez, the gait that this horse has, the way this horse is traveling, I think this might work, and it may or it may not. So a lot of it is trial and error. When it came to Rose Above It, both James and I knew he could trot fast, but he was making breaks in the turns, and I didn't want to take the hobbles. I didn't want to put the hobbles on this horse. I wanted to let him do his work without them. But it just felt like the less confidence he had, the more erratic he became. He was hostile in the miles sometimes, where you grab a hold of him and he want to fight with you. You can tell the horses are frustrated and angry, and in doing so, we put the hobbles on him the other day and went with him. I went with him, and it felt like he was working harder than he should in the hobbles. He's got a big gait for a little horse, and it felt like he was doing a lot of work. So the obvious solution to that, if they can go with it, is to put a lighter shoe on them. A lot of these horses start out with weight. Those of you horsemen out there, you understand that, with a 5/8 round shoes. And if we need bell boots or toe weights or toe weights on the horses to get them gaited, comfortable, confident, and then we can start to shed some of that as the year goes on. When it comes to this particular horse, I said, we made some dramatic changes. We took all that weight off him up front and landed a full swedge, which is really just a pacing shoe this time of year, a full swedge shoe on him, took the bell boots, took all the weight off him up front, and I was very, very interested to see how he'd go today. I got a good look at him in the last turn. He looked like he'd even put a step in the last turn.
No, he was super, and trotted hard through the turn after.
Yeah, well, see, he's getting it now, and this is a horse, and I could tell, like, the last time we went with him with no hobbles, we actually had a mini bit in his mouth. I think I might even had a snake cord at one point, because he'd get to the turn and get so frustrated and angry, he would just turn hot. He would get hostile. And now with the hobbles on him and no weight on him, and he's not hitting himself, and he's not looking to trot through the turn or trying to get away from making a break. He can actually focus on focusing. It's turned him into a, from what I saw today. Now this would be day one. We literally took all the weight off him yesterday. From what I saw today, big turnaround from this colt, and I'm not surprised he's on your list. I think he was on my list. I think this is a colt that's got a lot to offer. He's a well-bred colt, first foal out of a sister to Muscle Mass and Muscle Massive, and he's a Father Patrick. So I'm excited about this horse, and the changes. No, he's a Father Patrick, I think. Oh no,
Mordiner.
I'm Mordiner. My fault. Yeah. He is a Cantab. My apologies, but really excited about this colt just because of his pedigree, because of who he is. And you can tell there's something there. What that turns into in June, July, and beyond will be up to him. But all the blocks are fitting into the right places right now with Rose above it. So happy to see him on your list at number 9, and not shocked that he's there at all.
Number 8, I have Prairie Fire. Just another horse that's the last few weeks has really come leaps and bounds. Jimmy went with him today, and I finished up beside him. And we were really trotting hard down the lane, and he finished up well. So it's a horse that probably 2 weeks ago definitely wouldn't have been on my list, but has come so far in a couple weeks that I figured he deserved to be in the top 10.
He's another horse that we made some significant shoeing changes on. When we broke him, he had such a flawless gait. We never thought the hobbles would be needed. We kept the weight on him, and then he started making breaks in the turns, and really his confidence level was waning a little bit. Again, he'd make a break almost every time in that last turn. We changed his shoes, and he seemed a little better, but it wasn't until the combination of the hobbles and the shoes, much like Rose above it, that you saw him come on. And this is a horse that, this time of year, the ones that do it right every week almost get a head start. They almost look like they're a month or more ahead of some horses, because they are. They've had that confidence. They've been able to push through the turns and build that muscle and strength, where the other horses have been holding back a little bit. You can't put that muscle on unless you work hard. You can't work hard unless you have confidence. And once you start to get the confidence in them, then you start to get the muscle on them, and then you start to see real changes on the track. So Prairie Fire, I told you guys last week and the week before, this is a horse you should keep your eye on, and I am surprised he is on your list, actually. I didn't know that you were watching him that closely. Jimmy's gone with him for 3-4 times now, maybe more, and every time Jimmy tells me how good he gets, I had to go back and look at the video last time, and man, he looks like the horse we want him to look like now. And also a horse that's well-bred, and people haven't really paid attention to him also. Pretty decent breeding on the back end of Prairie Fire.
All right, number 7, I have Voyage of Fire and Ice.
Ice and Fire.
Ice and Fire, sorry. I usually just call him Voyage, so I always get the back half mixed up. But a horse that maybe not right now is absolutely perfect, but I mean, he every time he looks, he's filled out he's grown a ton in the last 2 months, and you see him when he is on his game and is trotting good. He's usually has a lot of pop to him. So, and he's a big growthy horse. I mean, I assume with time he's going to keep getting better and more confidence, and should turn into the horse we hope he can be.
That's a horse also, for those of you out there thinking that we just castrate all our horses. I've been lobbying to keep this horse a stud from day one. He's a little noisy sometimes, but he's just such a very gentle, nice horse on the track. Any of the breaks he's made, he's given us ample warning. Got running in a little bit, touches himself, get out of gear, and then finally lost him. He's a horse that we did have a lot of weight on, still do have quite a bit of weight on. And one of the rare things I just told you about Rose above it, where if you're going to wear the hobbles tight on a horse, you kind of got to lighten them up. This guy wears a lot of weight and a really tight hobble, but you can tell the difference. When I'm jogging him around, I'm constantly switching the hobbles to tighten them up. He fools you. When I went out on the track today, I said, geez, these hobbles are really tight. I thought I'd have to let them out, and I ended up pulling them up a little bit when I was out there. But in the mile, you can feel him just sink into this quiet focus, and they don't bias a couple of times. If you watch our videos, sometimes you'll see another one of the trainers here will gallop their horses a lot. 2 of the horses went flying by us today, and he almost came unglued, but just kind of popped his tail up in the air, got a little strong in the mouth, and took off trotting. And I think that's something he wouldn't have done 3 weeks ago. So I too believe that he's coming forward. He's getting big. But what I love most about this horse is what I always talk about: attitude and work ethic. He's got a great attitude, just a very, very nice horse to be around and to go with. and he's a real worker.
All right, moving forward, we have number 6, Renegade Gypsy. Again, another horse I think I did sit behind him. I was going to say I've never sat behind, but it's been a long time. But he's just got that big, he's big, dark, and just a beautiful horse on the track. He's got a real presence to him, and I don't think he's gone a bad training trip, so it would be a knock against him, I guess, not to put him in the top 10. He looks great, and sky's the limit for him, I guess.
There's another horse. I said this yesterday. I didn't tell James. I never said a word. Did you watch any of the top 10 lists? Don't lie.
No, but I mean, Jimmy and Johnny kind of told me who was on there. So.
And Renegade Gypsy's a horse across the board. Everybody picked him, although nobody's gone with him. You might have gone with him once. I might have gone with him once. I don't remember when it was, but it's just what he offers. He's a big, good-looking, strong colt. I think he has everything going on for him, and he does everything the way he's supposed to. So all the tools are there, and he appears to understand how to use them all. And I think that's why. That's one horse in particular. I see 2 on your list that you rarely go with, now that I see it. But that's one horse that transcended everybody's list. We talk about the bias. You see it with me. You're going to see it with James. You saw it with Johnny, Jimmy, and Amy. But that particular horse is on everyone's list.
Next up, we have number 5. I put Luck of the Dragon, another horse I haven't really gone with a whole lot, but I know Johnny's really high on him, and I thought we should have a couple pacers on the list, and he's, the last a couple of trips you guys don't see, like on the drone videos, or maybe Anthony might not even see if he wasn't there a couple times, but where Johnny kind of let him pace along on the front end, or it was close turn for home, and he just got that beautiful. He's got a beautiful head and a beautiful way of moving. Nice bodied horse, so but he's got that pop too, that quick step that I think is going to help him along the way.
I think there's another horse too that everybody talks about. I mean, I talked about him the last 2 weeks. He was number 1 on my list this week, number 1 on Johnny's list, not shockingly, but made everybody's list. Even Mario and Jimmy, who definitely have never gone with him, both had him on the list. He, as far as our pacing colts for Ohio, he's head and shoulders above the best right now, way ahead of everybody else. And that doesn't mean a whole lot when we get to Ohio. Nobody really cares how our horses are going. We care about how everybody else's are. But this guy certainly looks like he's put it all together. And what I found most remarkable is how quickly he's done it. Even 6, 7, 8 weeks ago, this horse was not on the radar. If he was on any radar, it was, hey, let's get him fluoroscope. Let's hope we can get this guy on track. You could tell there was something there, but man, in such a short time, he has put it all together, and he looked great again today.
Number 4, I have Unbeatable Kemp, another horse. I've jogged him a few times, but I haven't really trained him. I just know Amy's always been really high on him, and Jimmy's gone with him a couple times, liked him. You went with him and liked him. He's just got a nice kind of, I said it with Renegade Gypsy, but he's got that nice like swagger on the track. Like he's a big, good-looking horse, and he kind of floats along. Every day he might not be at his best, he wanders like most horses do, and he can get a little grabby, and sometimes he loses focus, but it's just something about him when you see him when he goes by, and Amy's done a great job bringing him along, and when he comes down the lane, you can let him trot, and he's on his game. Like he's a stud. So I mean, every day is not his best day, but I mean, when he's on his game, he looks like $1 million. So definitely had to have Unbeatable Kemp in there.
Okay.
I'll go to number 3. This is where my bias starts to come in. So I put Spent in. I've been going with him quite a bit lately, and he's big. I drove his sister quite a bit, spend that money. So
she's racing today.
Oh, there you
She's
go.
racing today. And I'll tell you, it's not biased. Every single person that had a list had Spent on it. I think I had him at 3, Johnny had him at 3, and Jimmy had him at 1. Amy had him up close also. I mean, you can't fault him. There's just some horses you can tell. Sure, we had to put the hobbles on rows above it. We had to add some weight to some horses, and then some of them took some time. This is a guy that just progressively did it the way he was supposed to from day one, and when you sit behind him, he just feels like a trotter. And just a nice horse. As I said, I only went with him a couple of times. I thought he was really good, but I've seen you go with him now 3-4 weeks in a row, and he's looked awesome all the time that I've seen him go. This horse, by the way, I know you know this, but Irv Miller owns a quarter of this horse. And he's constantly asking me about him, and I know somewhere deep down Irv wishes he had him in Florida. And I told him just to take your, he's always like, maybe he's, do you have enough weight on him? Do you have too much weight on him? What do you think of him? So he watches the videos, and he watches them all. But at the same time, I think this isn't Florida, right? You're going to see the horses peak at different times. You're going to see them do different things at different times. And what a trainer who trains in Florida is used to seeing is not what you're going to see here. You might see some horses look awesome in January and really struggle February, March, and April, and then come on again. It's very rare that you see a horse stay good right from start to finish, but this is one guy that I believe will.
Yeah, for sure. He's just a pro, and he's a big horse too, a real big colt. And
his sister wasn't big; she was small.
No, and he just floats around this track like he handles it with ease, and every time you ask him, he's got lots to offer. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him continue on very well. My top two are kind of, I could have went either way, but I kind of sided with, I don't want to be too biased, But my favorite horse in the barn right now is Win Hanover. I put her at number 2. She just, she's just starting to figure it out. Like, she was kind of all over the place early, but she always had this nice gait, and she's pardon my French, but she's just the right amount of a bitch to be good. Like, she's got that real saucy attitude, and she kind of wants to do her own thing, but she's just got this unbelievable gait. And she's the perfect size, like maybe on the big size of medium, or just medium, but not heavy, like just muscular, like just the perfect build. And I think you're gonna really notice her in the next few weeks. Really come on. She trained great again today, and when you get her focused and get her on her game, she's got, like I said, this flawless gait, and she's extremely well bred. She could definitely be anything. I think she's got a really bright future if she keeps her focus, because she is not the most intelligent horse I've ever seen.
So, a couple little problems. One, this is a little PG. I'm going to throw the B words around. Right? Just keep it down.
Sorry.
Secondly, I think you're right. She does have that attitude where, you'll catch her on a bad day, and she doesn't want to play. And, I've seen her kick at you. I've seen her act up. I've gone where I thought she was good, but if you push her over that line, she'll push back, and I like it about her. It's a little frustrating sometimes, but I like that about her. And I said the other day, there's a couple of horses that I don't want to go with, and she's one of them for that reason, where we're both just equally as stubborn. And at this point in time, I just want to see her do it right. She's been doing it great. I like the way she looked on Saturday. I saw her for a little bit today. I thought she looked really good. Yes, and here's a perfect example for those of you out there, like James is saying, he wanted to put her number 1, but didn't want to seem too biased. He loves this filly because he's looking at what she's done so far and what her potential is and what her potential might be. And she's another one. She has not done it right from day one. She's pulled up, she's kicked, she's been bad, she's had her slip-ups. But when she's on, man, she has got the most beautiful, powerful gait. I saw it here. I trained her by herself, which not really her forte. I trained her by herself here 3 weeks ago maybe, and you could tell she did it really good that day, and you could tell how strong she was. If she figures it out and then decides that she wants to be her brother, I don't think anybody's going to stand in her way. She's got everything she needs to be more than we've ever had, and I think she could be one of the ones where people are talking about her in July. I hope she's one of the ones people are talking about in July. So I agree 100%. What you see is exactly what I see at this point. And keep in mind, it's February. James doesn't know any more than me or anybody else. It's a coin flip. She might turn out to be a claimer. No one knows. But you can never say that she doesn't have the ability. It's there. So hopefully we can mold her in such a manner where it comes out and she decides she wants to be Crystal Fashion instead of maybe a worse relative. So that's where we're at with Win Hanover. I agree. I'm not surprised to see number 1. I'm a bit surprised that this horse made it to the top of almost everybody's list, but I'm not surprised she was great again this morning. Continue on.
Yeah, so number 1 is Isa 10. Another one, Amy goes with her all the time, so I've never sat behind her, or definitely never trained her. And she's kind of like in the same boat as Will to Win. She's got like this, just the right amount of attitude. If you're a filly and you want to be good, you have to have a little edge to you, and she's got that. She's got a beautiful way going. We know her brother, obviously, lawmaker, and she does everything easy, and she looked terrific again today. Like I said, Amy does a great job with her, and they get along well. And when she asks her, I mean, it looks like she's just push button, like she just gives you everything she's got. So definitely number one right now, and hopefully she keeps going in the right direction.
Yeah, like I said, I was so surprised for people that never went with Isa 10. Mario, I think, had her number one. Johnny had her number one. Johnny sat behind her once back in like November. Johnny, James, and Mario now all had her number one. I think I had her at number 4, but again, I was a little biased. She was awesome this morning. Both the Ohio breds, I can't wait. I say it every year this time of year. I'm so excited. We're coming, Ohio. Our best colt in the burn, at least one of them, is Voyage of Ice and Fire, who beat Isa 10 this morning. Now, they're obviously never going to race, and we were doing some real trotting on the end of the mile, which we weren't really planning to do. We only went a mile today. It was really cold, but a couple of the horses that have been really good showed up again this morning, not shockingly. And Isa 10 and Voyage, Ice and Fire. What other horses do you have on your list from Ohio? Anybody? Luck of the Dragon is on there. Isa 10, Prairie Fire. Prairie Fire. Yeah. So James has got a pretty good mix also. I know that Mario had You Gotta Believe on his list yesterday. I think that's his list there. Isa 10 was number 1. Yeah, right there. So, I mean, when you look at it, we have 15 or 16 horses for Ohio. Every one of them right now, I can build an easy path to qualifying. What they become after that is up to them. But when you look at our top end of our top horses, it's going to be another fun year in Ohio. So, this is Scruffy Face James. Thank you for doing your top 10 list. A lot of people were asking about it. And in the future, we're going to bring a couple of these top 10 lists. I like them. I didn't think to do. I don't want to share the spotlight. I never do. Mm-hmm. But truthfully speaking, I too was very interested in hearing from everybody else's top 10 list. So we'll continue to do these in the future. But for now, you got James. Dirty James has got his top 10 list in. We'll talk to you very soon.